This series is back and we are here to talk about some early releases for the year 2023. I did this in 2021 and it had a pretty good response, and then 2022 was the same as well. So I thought, it's 2023, there's some releases out there that people aren't listening to because people think, you know, it's January, there's nothing out, there's no music coming out, all that kind of stuff. There isn't much, I'll give you that, but there's always some good, nice little gems that are worth checking out. And there's a nice list of 5 that I have for you here that I think are worth your time. And they are all, as always, very different to one another. So you're getting a very nice, diverse little list of 5 albums here that you may not have heard of or may not have checked out otherwise. And that is what I like to do on this channel. There's not a huge amount of big releases at the moment. We haven't had a weekend album like we did last year, but there's some nice little underground indie releases that are worth your time. And if you're itching for some new music, if you're trying to find something and there's just nothing out there, well, I've got you covered. I've always got you covered on this channel. Let's waste no more time. Monday Night and Three-Way Slim, I think is how you say his name. Monday Night was an artist I hadn't even heard of before, but on New Year's Day, I got home after spending the day with some friends and was like, look, it's January 1st. Let's see if there's anything out. And I found this, and I was looking, I was digging, and this came out of nowhere. And it was good. It's good. It's a good rap album here. There's a nice coolness to the way Monday Night raps. I will say Monday Night as a rapper name probably isn't the most flashy name in the rap game. You know, it's not really the most rapper sounding name out there. So that might be why not many people recognize him as an artist. But he certainly is an artist that you should be checking out because he is good. And this album cover as well. Love this album cover. I think this will be a nice sort of contender for one of the best album covers of the year. I just love looking at this, and I think it's got a nice little sense of humor to it as well, which I like. So yeah, I think this guy's cool. I think if you were to find him on the Griselda label, I don't think he would be out of place. The only thing is that he's not quite as cold and unforgiving as some of the rappers on there with their lyrical themes, like a Conway or like a West Side Gun. They rap about pretty dark things, but I think Monday Night brings a bit more of a smoothness to the table. But the style of his rapping and the beats he chooses is very much of that Griselda ilk. So if you like any of that, check this out. Really impressed with Park Zero and M. I have been aware of this artist in the past, never really checked out anything fully from the Park Zero output, but this was again an early release that I thought, give this one a go, see how this is. And yeah, super impressed with this. Really heavy going with the electronics and the noisiness. I had to turn the volume down actually because it gets that pretty intense and hectic and busy, and some of these tracks really push the boundaries for what's really going to be blowing up your ears. So I think if you're a bit sensitive to that kind of thing, perhaps this album would be a bit much for you, because at times it was for me. But I really admire the lengths that Park Zero was going to try really interesting and exciting things, because the music itself sounds really good as well. So yeah, you're getting some pretty experimental, strange stuff here, while also getting a really good interesting listen as well. I'm impressed. This one I found through John, so thank you to John for mentioning this one. Metaroom, really short, succinct, straight to the point break beats album here. And it not only is just break beats, there's some drum and bass sort of things coming through as well, but it brings a kind of like animated, colourful, and a bit of a quirky approach to some of the melodies and things as well, in a very similar way to what you'd find from an Igloo Ghost album. I was really picking out some Igloo Ghost at times on this album here. I thought that some of the sort of like wackier and colourful and zany moments were very much indicative of that style of music. And yeah, I was impressed. I mean, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff anyway, break beats and drum and bass and the atmospheric tones to what this album brings at times. But it's really speedy, the drumming, it sounds really crisp as well. I was impressed with this, and I'm impressed with how it's using its influences in a cool way. Catherine Mercy next, again, another sort of Bandcamp underground release here. Was impressed with this. The lo-fi tones of this, I think, are going to be appealing to those who like some like early car seat headrests and that kind of thing. And also the artist Weather Day. God, I haven't listened to Weather Day in a long time. That was a good album. That was a good ass album. But yeah, anyway, this album brings to the table some of those qualities as well. It's got kind of like a bit of a slacker rock feel to it as well. So some points on the album, the vocals sound a bit sort of like mundane sounding, but it's not a detriment to the music. I just think if you kind of stick with it, you might find some interesting qualities in the singing. But also, got to mention the friggin' Sleater Kinney cover. They do jumpers. They do jumpers on this album. They do jumpers. I was so impressed to hear that. I was so happy to hear a Sleater Kinney track being covered in 2023. I mean, they're still a well-known band. They're still a relatively successful band, but just wasn't expecting to hear that on this album. So yeah, really, really good stuff. And finally, I got to mention Fireworks. This was a really good sort of, I guess, it's hard to define it because there are times where it's really heavy in the punk stuff. Like the first track was just straight up a ruckus punk song that made me think, okay, the whole thing's going to be like this. But then they soften things up and go in a bit more of like a softer indie rock direction, maybe even like some Arcade Fire coming through at times as well. Like I was pretty impressed with how this album sort of switched gears and changed directions and also kept me interested for the whole thing. I mean, Blood in the Milk, that right there is an absolute power anthem of a song. What a banger that one is. And the whole thing I'm impressed with. I think it's a good little release here, and I think what they are bringing to the table in this style of music is worthwhile as well. So yeah, I was pretty happy with this one. And that's it, isn't it? I've mentioned 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 early releases for the year 2023. There will be more of these videos. As always, I'll keep digging. I'll keep finding interesting albums to talk about and EPs as well to throw in these videos. I'll keep them going for a couple of months as well. Please let me know what you think. If you've never watched one of these before, if you enjoyed it, if you like the picks that I went with, and then more importantly, the most important thing is liking the video and subscribing, of course. But also, if you have any other releases that are from this year that you think I need to be looking at and checking out and including in these kinds of videos, please comment, because you guys always find me things as well. So yeah, 2023 is kicking into gear very, very slowly, very, very slowly. We're getting there. We're getting to some of the bigger names that are coming out, but there's still some good stuff, and that's where this video comes in to help you out. So thank you for watching, have a good day, and please subscribe, check out my Patreon as well, and goodbye.